we were going to talk about something I know apparently very little about. And when I saw the title, I kind of tried to put one and one together. I'm not sure I got it right. So it's called Sharenthood, which obviously involves the word parenting. So
And
this is about sharing your child's
photos,
information
online.
And that's a thing now that's bad?
It's a thing now that's bad. Not now. I mean, it's been around for a long time now. When you think my daughter's 11 and I started posting stuff online when I was pregnant with her, right? So it's been around for a while. You kind of missed all this. Your kids are grown up, but your kids are probably now doing that. Let's find out more. LEAH Plunkett is author of the book Sharenthood, Why We Should Think Before We Talk About Our Kids Online. You may have seen her on Dr. Phil, and she joins us now. Thanks for your time today, LEAH.
Thanks so much. Wonderful to be with you.
Wait, are you a LEAH or a LEAH?
I am a LEAH, but I so appreciate that question because not everyone thinks to ask. You had it right. I am LEAH. Thank you.
Well, because I went with, in Quebec, we automatically go with LEAH, and then I thought, wait a second here. Okay, LEAH, thank you so much for your time.
Yes, I'm coming to you from across the border, so you are correct.
We appreciate your time. So why don't you tell us exactly, did we do a decent job of explaining exactly what sharenting is? Can you tell us exactly what it is?
You did do a wonderful job. I will be a +1 to everything you said and add that the way I look at sharenting is a little bit broader and a little bit deeper than the way the term is typically used. So I give you an A++ on the way the term is typically used and offer the following. In my book, literally and metaphorically, I look at sharenting as all the ways that not just parents, but also grandparents, aunts, uncles, teachers, coaches, and other trusted adults transmit children's private information digitally. And a lot of that is on social media, but some of it is on other digital services, platforms, and devices, such as educational apps and smart devices.
What is at the crux of the concern here? Is it about their privacy and their future lives and what's being put out there, or is it actually about their safety?
The crux of the concern is first and foremost about child safety and about the tragic recognition that once digital information gets out there, it can be used and abused by bad actors. Let's say folks intent on identity theft or harassing or bullying or otherwise harming children. The other aspect of safety, though, is not physical safety, but it's about children's psychological and emotional safety, and also just their own safety to be secure in their own lives and their own stories, and to figure out who they are and who they want to be now and in the future, without having the world watching or being able to kind of go to the vault and get information after the fact.
My question as it relates to that is kids themselves now are the instigators in this kind of stuff, right? It's not even so much the parents. I wonder where the age cutoff here, LEAH, would happen to be. If you're posting stuff from the time your child is a baby, and then eventually that child's going to be, looking around at everyone else is posting stuff and he or she will want to do the same. So where's the cutoff?
Great question. I think that parents are actually very, very involved in kids sharing decisions for a greater period of time than we give them credit for. I think, although there's a spectrum, right? It's different to take a picture of your 2-year-old and put it on social media than it is to give your 12-year-old an iPhone and kind of see what happens. And they start posting themselves. But as long as you as the parent are a gatekeeper in any way, maybe you're giving them the device, you're paying for the device, maybe you are modeling a certain form of digital citizenship, then I don't think there is a bright line cutoff. And I think parents are often more active participants in what we typically think of as kids' own sharing decisions than we recognize.
Where do you draw the line? Like, I'm thinking about sharing and then oversharing, right? And I think this could apply to to parents or to kids. What's the difference between sharing and oversharing, LEAH?
There's a subjective line drawing here and an objective line drawing.
Okay.
The objective line drawing, I think, is the easier one. If you or your child is putting anything online that is exposing any kid in any stage of undress, even if it's seemingly innocent, like people in swimsuits at the beach don't do it. If you are revealing full name, exact address, exact school, or other physically identifying information, don't do it. Certainly don't do anything that you wouldn't want to see replicated, in a child's, principal's office or future employer. That's a more objective line drawing that has to do with safety and preservation of reputation. Then there's this subjective line drawing that every family has to figure out for themselves. Here's an example. If you are parenting a child with a disability, do you think on balance that the benefits that might come from being in, let's say, a Facebook group or an online forum that connects you with other families with kids with the same disability, do you think those benefits to well-being might outweigh privacy concerns? Quite possibly. That's a more subjective line drawing.
Again, as I hear you describe this, I think to myself, that whole idea of parents who are overprotective, helicopter parents, whatever we want to term it. So you tell your child at the certain age where you can tell them what they can or should or shouldn't do online. Are we sort of overstepping this as well and just making them fearful that anything they'd eventually decide to post is potentially harmful?
I definitely don't want anyone listening to hear me saying that parents or kids or teens should throw away their devices and go back to paper and quill. I'm very pro-technology. I love all the innovation and opportunity technology brings. So I would hope that outside of things like, don't post pictures in a state of undress, which I do think children need to be aware of the dangers of doing that it's not scaring them, it's protecting them. But I think outside of those few categories, my hope is that listeners will try to empower their kids and empower themselves as parents or other adults to be thoughtful digital citizens and just think, gosh, as with many things we do in life, there are a lot of potential upsides. So connection, creativity, et cetera, huge upsides of digital engagement. There are also some potential downsides. And because the downsides are often not fully and thoughtfully addressed, I worry that sometimes we as parents overlook those.
I'm wondering, Natasha, as I look at you, so you have an 11-year-old, and I wonder what you think, Leah, of the idea where you say to your child, it's perfectly okay if you want to put something up, but mommy or daddy would like to see what it is you're doing before you do it. Is that overstepping?
No, not at all. I think that's great. I think that's a very developmentally appropriate, thoughtful way of both modeling and engaging in digital citizenship with your child. I think there's also a version of that says if mommy or daddy is paying for this device, we need your passcode. I think that gets to be a little different as kids get to be, let's say, 15, 16, 17 and are showing themselves to be virtuous digital citizens. But I think absolutely the idea of let's do this together. Or sometimes what I'll say, I'm a parent. I have an 8-year-old and a 12-year-old. And they certainly get on devices and are digitally connected. And sometimes I'll say things like, oh, hey, you just mentioned a new app. Before we decide whether to download it, can we do a little research together? And occasionally now, sometimes the 12-year-old will come to me with the research already done. They know that I like the site Common Sense Media, for instance, for good reports. And they'll say, Common Sense Media says this. And that's great. I love that. They are practicing digital citizenship. They're doing some research. They're making their case. And I'm much more likely to say yes.
My daughter's doing the same thing at 11, but I want to tell you, as someone who, I'm pretty tuned in, generally speaking, and I'm pretty considerate of how things would make her feel. But I posted a picture once that she was not happy with, and I'm trying to remember how old she was. But from that point on, we kind of decided that I would get her consent before I posted anything to make sure she's okay with it should anybody else see it or whatnot. So I would like to know sort of a guideline in terms of consent. What age is appropriate to start asking? And it's kind of a two-way street, I would also say, Leah, right? Like they ask your consent, like we were just discussing, but is it also normal for a parent to ask the kid's consent?
It is not normal. I wish it were. I think what you're describing is a pitch-perfect way of both, again, engaging in and modeling thoughtful digital citizenship. Because not only are you giving her that respect, you are making it more likely that as she gets older and has more freedom to engage online, that she will ask her peers before she posts.
Okay.
Good.
So I think that that's a really wonderful, very developmentally thoughtful form of engagement. I do think that kids have preferences about this younger than we might think they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, I've heard of some parents starting to do this with kids around 5 or 6, and those kids having opinions. Of course, I think it is important. Parents still get the final say, right?
Yes.
You don't want to take your child in for a medical visit and go to fill out the electronic health record permission form and have the kid say, "Don't share my data." And you're like, "No, actually, we're using electronic health records now. Sorry." But I think that that's really thoughtful. I will say, though, it can cut both ways. I am maybe an under-sharent or a minimalist sharent, certainly when it comes to social media. And my kids, and I guess I'm sharing this now, I'm saying it publicly to your listeners and to you, they wish I would share more. They think social media is cool. Their friends appear more frequently than they do, which is almost never, and they think I'm sharing too little. Just can't win.
That's so interesting. Okay, we really appreciate your time today. That's Leah Plunkett. The book is called Sharenthood, Why We Should Think Before We Talk About Our Kids Online. Thank you so much for your time, Leah.
Thank you. Take care.